Hey, 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 welcome to the She Can Share podcast. You guys, this is one full year of putting out weekly content as my first year launching this podcast. And so I'm just going to give myself a big pat on the back, pat, pat, pat. And I wanted to create this episode as like a celebration episode, like, yay! But also, I want to do something that feels extremely vulnerable for me. Um, you may or may not know this. I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but since I've been 16, I have kept a journal. So I have like boxes of journals that basically have documented all of my deepest, darkest secrets, all of my struggles, all of my joys and successes and heartaches. And I actually came across a journal entry from February 7th. So, right now, as I'm recording this on February 17th, 2024, this is from when I was, I think, 30 years old. I just turned 30. And we had just moved home from church planting over in the UK. If you know my story at all, basically, my husband and I, at age 25, we moved to the UK. A month after moving there, he got into a horrible car accident. We were supposed to be leading this church at the time. We ended up living in a valley on a cemetery for 4 years, and it was just a really difficult, challenging time. We laugh and joke that we literally lived in the valley of the shadow of death. And this journal entry, this feels super vulnerable, okay, for me, but I feel like I want to share it with you because, coming off a year creating content and like looking at my life today, I was reading this journal entry just so amazed. I don't mean to get emotional, but just so amazed at what God has done in my heart and my life, mainly my heart. And I want to share this with you as a celebration today for a year of creating content because it comes from just such a real raw place that I was feeling, just gosh, just 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago. And I just want to share it for anyone that resonates with this, because I want to say this: every single season that God takes us through has a purpose, and this journal entry is coming off like I'm literally still kind of in the valley. We had just moved home, but still feeling like the hardship, the heartache, the disappointment, the struggle from that season, having no idea what God would do, that I would have a, video go viral after he tells me to start posting content, and now having my own business and like loving what I'm doing now. No idea that this was what was going to transpire. And I want to share this. Some of you are like, Melissa, just read the journal entry. I know, I'm going to get there. But I want to bring context to this whole thing because every single season of our life has value. Every single season of our life has purpose. Right now is February and I'm looking out my window and all I can see are bare trees, like trees with no leaves on them. We live in Michigan. There's snow on the ground. And for some of you listening right now, you feel that way. You feel like a tree that has no fruit. But this is what I want to encourage you. This is just winter season. This is just a winter season. And the beautiful thing is, if I were to take that branch and cut it, you would see this bright green color on the inside because there's life happening on the inside of that tree. And so even in, like I say this mantra all the time, mountaintop experiences are for sights and inspiration, but the fruit grows in the valley. And that that held me when I was in the valley, knowing that God was doing something deep on the inside. And so I want to kick off this celebration of posting a year of content on my She Can Share podcast, which is all about having this message inside of you that like, I have to share it. That's why I titled it that, the She Can Share podcast, because it's this feeling, but it all comes from, for me, this heart of like wanting to create content that hopefully touches people where they're at. Sorry, I totally was not emotional before I started recording this. My husband and I'm actually really excited. My husband and I are going to go away this weekend. We're leaving in about an hour to go away and spend a weekend together, which I'm so excited about. But so the house is empty. The kids are with my mother-in-law and the dog, so it's just really peaceful right now. So it's probably just, I don't know, I'm reminiscing and feeling all the feels. But the whole reason why I want to create content is to hopefully be that voice to somebody else, whether they're in the valley or the plateau or the mountaintop, and just be a voice of encouragement to you. So anyway, I'm going to do something so vulnerable. I'm going to read this journal entry from February 7th, 2020. So this was actually right before COVID. And it's funny because I'm reading this and I remember, and this when I wrote this, I was also on a weekend away with my husband. That's always what I want to do for my birthday is just like have a weekend away with my husband because I just love it so much. So I remember my mom was looking after my kids. We had gotten a weekend away together. And I was just sitting, I had woken up early and we were in our hotel room and I looked out. We were in New Mexico because that's where my mom lives. We were in New Mexico and I looked out and I was just looking at a mountain. I was looking at a mountain, looking at the top of it, looking at it, seeing the sunrise over it. Just feeling this gratitude and this hope that God was still writing my story. So I want to share this journal entry with you as a celebration, as I'm literally crying. Never really do content where I'm crying, but hey, hopefully if you're watching this on YouTube, sorry. I feel like it's a little bit more better if it's audio, even though right now my microphone is also broken, which I know I need to fix. So it's better to put content out, by the way, than not do it because you don't have it perfect. But I just want to share this. So it's dated February 7th, and it says, "This view right now, sitting in front of a mountain, drinking coffee and writing. So beautiful. Not to mention, it's on the back end of a really lovely night away with Kian and family time in New Mexico. I don't even know how to express the gratitude in my heart to God. These last 5 years have been so scary." This is obviously, again, we had just moved home from church planning in the UK. I know I've said that, but just to recap, just a really challenging season. So I'm talking about these last 5 years from 25 to age 30, because I just turned 30 when I wrote this. I'm 34 now. These last 5 years have been so scary, wonderful, heartbreaking, and redemptive in so many ways. I feel like this moment that I find myself in right now is so picturesque of this season I feel we are entering. Finally, coming through the woods, coming through such a challenging valley season. I can't even get over how much work God has had to do in me these last 5 years. And it will never stop, I know that, but man, I was a piece of work. Our story is so beautiful and so precious to me and so dramatic. Yeah, I've always been dramatic. God has shown me how interested He is in building something so deep in us to the point of pain. I'm so grateful that I went there, that I let God go there. He has taken me to places in my heart and soul I was too afraid to see or confront. He has liberated me from myself, from my sin. He has helped me confront it. When I was weighed down with so much anxiety, so much performance mentality, wanting to be good enough, He gave me this beautiful gift of this, showing me that I am not, that I am not good enough. That even when I was flexing my biggest faith muscle, it still wasn't enough. And that is the gospel, because we will never be enough for Him. that all my righteous acts are like filthy rags, and apart from him, nothing good lives in me. And for so long, I took the credit. But that goes both ways, your highs and your successes, but also our lows and our failures. And it's all for him, and it's all glory to him. God calls us out to this life of walking on water, doing the impossible. I truly thought miracles were just physical, but this glorious transformative work of the Holy Spirit in our hearts is what's so mind-blowing. So many of us are looking for the external when God is wanting to do something so deep and so internal. He changes us and transforms us from the inside out. We become somebody we never could have become without the power of the Holy Spirit living in us. He does it. And we just need to say yes. I'm so amazed at God. You amaze me, God, and I'll never stop pursuing you because your love is better than life. Your daughter, Melissa. Now, I gotta say, that's like a really nice journal entry. Trust me, there's a lot more in there if I were to give it to you, which hopefully nobody will ever find these until after I'm dead, that aren't as, lovely. I am definitely having honest chats with God in my journal, but I wanted to share that one because it's around the same time as where I'm recording this content right now. And I just thought that was so amazing that God was showing me that we were coming into a mountaintop season. And it's been so wonderful. I feel like actually I've had to confront other things as God's really started to like take me into more of a promised land season and a mountaintop season of overcoming mindsets of like, man, God, is this okay? Man, God, I'm scared to step into this. I'm scared to let my light shine. I'm scared just so much, but I want to just share this with you because whatever it is that's in your heart to do, when you close your eyes and you think about, man, what will my life look like in 3 years, in 5 years? Maybe you feel like you resonate with the valley season right now. Maybe you resonate with the mountaintop season. I don't know. But I want to tell you that the work that God does on the inside of us is everything. How he walks with us, how he changes us, how he transforms us, how he teaches us. It's like the external stuff, it's all just this external stuff that people see. But God looks at the heart and he's interested in doing something inside of you. So, in celebration of a year of putting out content to the world, I've actually been putting out content. I'm only just realizing this. I've actually been putting out content since I was 16 years old in my quiet time. In my quiet time with God I'm 34, so I don't know, you do the math. Math isn't my thing. But since I've been 16, I've been putting out content. Just me and the Lord. And I still do. I still do. But he was my first, I guess he was my first listener. And so I just want to give all credit to him. This show right now. It's not even that massive, that huge, but it's precious to me and it's precious to God. And I know that. And I want to encourage you if you're like, man, I have a story to share. I resonate with this. I want to put out content. Will you please just do it? Because it's really not about other people. It's really about pursuing the thing that God's put in your heart to do to bring glory to him. And if other people benefit from it, yes, but God will bring those people at the right time. Don't put out content, is anybody going to see it? Well, who cares? Focus on like expressing who Christ is in you to the world because God sees it, right? And God brings the growth to our life. And so trust him with that. Trust him with that. If you put out content every single day for a year and no one sees it, but you feel like it's what you're meant to do, trust that God's going to use that. God's going to multiply that. And whether that's seen visibly here on earth or whether that is something that you will find out when you meet him when, in heaven, trust him for that, because he truly sees the beginning from the end. So yeah. So anyway, this episode really took a turn that, I wasn't really sure. Totally did not expect to cry, but I hope that you feel my heart. I hope you hear my heart. I want to just say thank you so much to my husband and thank you to him, for supporting me on this journey, and to God, who's just really led me in all of this. So, and thank you to you for being here, for listening. If this was your very first time listening to this podcast, then hey, let me tell you, we don't cry in every episode. um, but maybe I will share some more of my journal entries throughout the years, because I feel like it's really our stories that connect us. It's the vulnerable things, it's the hard things that connect us. So thank you so much. Be on the lookout for next week's episode coming into this next year. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm going to keep putting out content and trusting God for all of it. And thank you so much for being here. So excited for all that God's doing. And I'll see you next week.